if you're here and you think I'm going to say this is better than this, you're crazy and you're on the wrong channel. Let's talk about the French tip nail trend on Jillies nails. First, let's talk about long natural nails or long-ish natural nails. Definitely going to need a barrier for the French nail tip trick because it is a messy situation. Also, we already have the stamper, we already have polish. Why do we need to stab our stampers? And when I say stab, I do mean that because apparently I put a hole in mine and I barely pressed in. So that is something to keep in mind. Use an old stamper if you're going to try this out. It can cause damage. 100% verified, guaranteed, really annoyed on my new-ish stamper. My fault, but still, definitely caused damage. You'll be able to see it later in the video. I've kind of highlighted some things, and that's something new that I'm doing. If I see something that's kind of hard to see on camera, I'm going to pop a little firework in there that'll highlight for you. So keep an eye out for that. Now, this is the first time I've tried this. I wanted to see, is it as easy as everybody says? And I have to be honest, this first one doesn't look bad. It's not perfect. There's a little bit of wiggle in it, but it's not bad. And I don't hate this technique for this particular shape on a nail. I wanted to show you too, because I haven't done this in a while, how I clean off this stamper, especially if you have a lot of polish on it, and this design does take a lot of polish to do this. So don't be skimpy with the polish. I'm going to show you, I believe right here, what happens when you are. You see how that little hole starting to appear? That's from the polish being too thin. I will tell you this too, and I'm only going to talk about this once and then I'm going to drop it. I saw somebody with the stamping brand telling her customers that this only worked with her polish. That is a lie. She said this was the excuse, that all of them did this. Okay, if you paint the polish on thicker, it doesn't do that. So do not believe a brand if they're telling you that only their polish works for this technique. It is not true. The next technique that we're going to go in with is kind of the diagonal, the deep V. It's a very deep French tip. Normally you would just see this on like acrylic nails where somebody's actually doing pink and white acrylics. But a lot of people like this for their actual nails as well. It's just a very deep V shape. I didn't care for this one at all. If you look at it right now, there's kind of like a little dip and a wave in it. I saw other people doing it and the same thing was happening to them. See the hole? There was the hole. Did you see the firework with the hole? Anyway, I saw this happen quite a lot where people were just having little wavy lines in it. It seems very hard to get this one even on both sides, and it was pulling polish back off. So the edges didn't get completely finished with it. It was a little wobbly. Again, if you're not great at French manicures, it's not horrible, but I think we can do better with stamping. See that little wiggle line right there? And then I, of course, stuck this cuticle pusher right into it because, hello, that's my life. We make mistakes here. Things happen. Hairs get on brushes. You know, we're learning. We're all playing and learning together. But this is so much easier, in my opinion, than this other stamper trick. You have this plate with every kind of French design you can imagine, and then you have two to three new ones on here as well. You can use those straight lines to make one straight across if you have short nails. Like, this is not going to work on short nails with this stamper without getting polish freaking everywhere. What a waste. You do have to measure on this one, and I'll be honest with you, on this one I picked the wrong size. I should have picked the next one over, so it is going to be a little short on the edges. The other thing I noticed stamping wise compared to just using the stamper is that, you know, sometimes things don't pick up like they're supposed to. It's a firework right there. See, there's some polish missing out of it, but it definitely does work. Both techniques work. It's just which one works better, in my opinion. Definitely prefer the stamper. Let's see. In this one, these kind of open hold French plates, you kind of need to scrub the polish in a little bit, and you may have to play with how you scrape. You may have to scrape left to right to get it smooth. You may have to do up and down. Some plates you may have to stamp straight up and down. Some you may have to roll. For this one, I found that rolling and scraping in the opposite direction of the way you scrubbed in the polish. So if you scrub the polish in top to bottom, then scrape left to right, and vice versa. Look how crisp that line is. It literally looks like a sticker, except for the parts that are missing, which is my fault. But it was beautiful. It came out perfect. Yeah, it took a time or two. But once you get to know your plate and your stamper that you're using for this, it shouldn't be hard at all. Literally 30 seconds to do this. This plate did give me a little bit more trouble, and I'm going to show you a couple of them. Now, this plate is designed where you can use just the French tip part or the whole triangle along with it as one design. So if you need to get that middle triangle out, you're going to have to take some tape and kind of get in there between the creases and get that extra polish out. I also noticed on this plate, since I was just trying to use the V part of it, this plate is really better scraping left to right over those French design images, but because I was trying to keep the triangle out, I was going top to bottom. If you'll notice on the tips with those, and I'll show this again, it'll have a firework highlight towards the end of it. It's a little bit thin there at the tip. If you look where the square part is, see how there's less polish there? It was a little bit thin there. It wasn't a great pickup. So it did leave it a little bit lighter in some sections, kind of like an uneven application. Now, you don't really get that with the other stamper technique, but what I did notice is you had big, thick, globby polish that took a while to dry. It had to self-level, you know, things like that you're not getting from stamping, because once you stamp it, it's done. You just need to let it dry a little bit and put a top coat on. The other technique with the stamper, it was much thicker, and you had to kind of dig into that stamper to get it to really cover everything and have an opaqueness to it. This is a hand paint. This is what I always used to do when I very first started out with nails. I'm out of practice because I stamp it most of the time now. So as you see with that, there's a little weeble wobble in that too, and I had to touch it up. What I did like about the hand painting the best was it was much more even all over. So both techniques can be a little bit wonky when it comes to evenness. Definitely the V with the stamper is my least favorite, and then probably my hand painting would be my next least favorite. The rest of them, I think, were so much easier, so much neater. I also feel like, and I can't quantifiably prove this, but I feel like I used less polish on the stamping plate versus the stamper technique. So I'm really curious to know, like, if you guys have tried this out, how you like it. Did it work for you? Are your nails long or short? I feel like I would have a horrible time with that stamper technique on my nails, and they're pretty long. This is what it all looks like with top coat, so you can see the places where it's a little bit thinner, but everything did smooth out nice across all three designs. So again, tell me what you think below. I'm very curious. I'm going to stick with my stamping. I don't really want to perfect that other technique. I think stamping is easier. Tell me what you think. Appreciate you watching. Bye-bye.